Welcome to the House by the Video Store video blog. I'm William, and with me today is
Derek.
And we're going to be discussing the movie Frankenstein's Army that you can watch on Netflix Watch Instant or you can purchase on DVD or Blu-ray. And this is a found footage movie that's set during World War II as Russians go on a secret mission and run into Frankenstein's army of creatures.
Yeah, like, the best way I'm going to describe this movie is like a Netflix gem. Because, like, it sounds stupid. What you just said sounds stupid, and it's found footage. So, like, I don't think just reading the description, it sounds that interesting or that good. And to be honest, like, the acting's subpar. But when you the creatures in the movie and the practical effects are amazing. Like, it's been a long time since I've watched a movie where because it's all practical. I mean, if there's anything that's at all computer generated, it's very, very minute.
It'd be mostly just like cleaning things up in post, like the normal type of stuff you would do.
And the pacing of the movie, once things start happening, which takes about, like 20 minutes into the film, because it's kind of a short movie, too. I don't really feel like it was that long.
Yeah, it's not, I don't even think it's an hour and a half.
Yeah, like...
It's I will say, though, like, so just, like, once again, just kind of the general idea is it's a found footage movie where there is a documentarian going with Russian soldiers as they go to try to retrieve some soldiers who they've heard a distress call from. And then, it ends up being some twists and turns, and there's other things involved with it, and they run across a descendant of Frankenstein, of Victor Frankenstein, who has been doing experiments and making creatures. And I'll say that the found footage aspect is something that was probably done for budgetary concerns or to help mask, like, some of the production stuff. I don't think that the found footage aspect really adds anything to the movie per se.
But it doesn't take away anything either. I
mean, like, if they had just made this a straight, normal cinematic presentation movie, it would probably cost them twice or more of what it cost them to make this.
But we actually couldn't find that either.
Yeah,
so we tried to find the actual amount of money it cost to produce it, and it just, even IMDb didn't have it, right?
Well, yeah, it was nobody. I mean, if the filmmakers don't post it, it's hard to find that out. Yeah. But it was a movie where the main attraction and really the reason you would watch it is the creature effects in it and the costuming and all that, because like we said, like the acting wasn't that great.
Like, it's not, I've seen much worse. Like, for comparison, y'all watch Green Inferno. Is it better or worse than the acting in Green Inferno?
I would say that the level of acting probably isn't all that different, but in this movie, they don't have a lot of it.
Yeah,
it's mostly people reacting to situations versus them, like, having a lot of dialogue-driven scenes. And kind of the only actor in this who kind of shines is the one who has all the dialogue, which is, Frankenstein.
Yeah, he's actually really enjoyable. He's the most enjoyable character in there. It takes a while to get to him, but once you get him in the film, he is very enjoyable. I mean, a lot of things on this, too, is, like, I think all the set pieces, like, where they're actually, anywhere they're at, I love it. Like, it's very
anywhere they're at, you love it?
Yeah, it doesn't, because
they're always somewhere.
Well, they're always somewhere, but, like, once they get to where Frankenstein's at, and they start running into the monsters, like, all the sets worked. Like, and I understand, like, this movie is kind of more like like the Resident Evil movie where it's like in just a set place, like not in a catacomb per se, but they're just in a enclosed, small kind of claustrophobic area where you can't really escape easily, but it works. And just what I love too is, like, you just don't get one creature. You never just get one creature. Once one of them comes, they're just everywhere. Well, and it just kind of goes insane for a while because you have everything going on.
Well, they run across just like one at the beginning to kind of give you a taste of what it is. And then as they go later in, you see more and more of them.
I think one of the cooler things, too, is, like, when they first get to the area, you see some of the inventions, you're just kind of like, what the hell? Because you have, like, the big gun with the skeleton on it. And there's just so many cool things that they don't really take time to even look at. But what I will say is, like, we talked about this when you did, like, it's almost kind of like, it makes you wonder what a Wolfenstein video game movie could be. Because, this is very much that area. But my main concern is, like, because this is, like, a darker movie and kind of gory and, it's just kind of, it's unsettling on some of the monsters, and especially toward the factory at the end when you see him creating them. So I don't know if they would go that dark, which is my main concern.
Well, and two, like, so this movie, like, it's not really scary. I mean, it's got gore in it that's well done, and, like, the practical effects in this are just very good. And if you compare, so this is kind of what you would want to see. The creatures in this are kind of what you would want to see if they made a Castle Wolfenstein movie. You can compare and contrast it to the movie Doom that they actually made, where there's a lot of CG and stuff like that. You know, the entire end of that movie was a first-person sequence that was, you know...
I wasn't crazy about it.
So this, like, I will say the one detriment to this, like, you know, you've mentioned, like, the found footage isn't really anything that builds the movie up or helps it. And I will say that one of the things that they did that was somewhat confusing is during some of the different action scenes, like, things would attack the camera operator. It's like, what's happening? Like, is he hurt? Like, I don't understand how this is... Well, like, are they just boxing the side of him?
Yeah, apparently he's, like, the most evasive human being on Earth, and he probably should have gotten some type of professional sport. Or a boxer, because he is good at dodging stuff.
But like, so the found footage aspects don't really help the story, but like I said, it's probably just, you know, one of the ways they could get it made on the budget they had.
And another thing too, this kind of took back. I'm not gonna say it's the same thing, but it's the same idea that like the original Friday the 13th took, where they kind of went like this movie, everything faded to red. Like whenever they got a scene where too much is going on. Yeah. I think that they would fade to red to get some of to kind of clean it up a little bit, kind of like what the Friday 13th did with fade to white. So I think that's one reason too why they did the found footage, because it's easier to explain that way, because it was camera difficulties.
Well, and two, like, luckily, so early on in the movie they put some effects on it to make it look like it's a 1945 like camera, and they added and they kind of ditched that relatively early in, which is good, because it'd be very, very annoying to have fake film grain and sounds running the entire movie. So they kind of like let that fade away.
I guess the biggest problem I have too, though, which is just the found footage aspect, which you could pick this apart, is like at that point in time is, you know, let's just be generous and say it's like 1942. Batteries probably didn't really exist for cameras like that. Well, where they could last for 10 or 20 hours.
I'm going to say I'm not exactly a expert on camera technology from the 1940s. Like, I don't remember what the setting of this was.
Yeah, we're just
probably later. It's probably like 44, 45, something like
that. Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Before the end of the war. Yeah. But it probably would have had to have been going on a while for him to have had all the things he created. But, like, the camera stuff, like, I don't know exactly how they work. I know I'm like, we're like machine operator, you crank them and stuff. Yeah. So theoretically, that could happen. I mean, the footage would not look like it does in this movie, obviously, but you have to suspend disbelief because
just kind of like Nazi
monster.
As he's getting attacked, he's just like dodging stuff. So outside of the found footage,
I mean, like you have to suspend disbelief in any movie. In this one, I didn't really get taken out of it too much by the found footage aspects. I just found myself wishing, like, man, I wish this scene was shot cinematically. But you know, the creature effects are really what people are coming for. And you look at all the reviews that are out there. It's pretty much universally what everyone praises. And I have to, you know, back that up. If you want to see some crazy creatures, kind of like man mixed with machine, or, you know, different creatures, then this is definitely a movie worth checking out.
If you're, because I'm going to compare this to some video games, because it definitely, I think, probably pulled some from that. Because, you know, like your newer Resident Evils have a bunch of crazy monsters in them. What was the video y'all did of the game? I can't think what it was called now. It was one that you and Sean and Corey filmed.
I don't remember.
Something Within. But
the
like,
Evil Within.
Yeah, the Evil Within. Even that had like some crazy creatures similar to this, and it's just like, I love that aspect of it because it was so original, and there was very few monsters that repeated. Like there was probably throughout the film,
some of them show back up.
Yeah, some of them show back up, but it wasn't like you walked in a room and it was just 30 of the same. You had ones that had like looked like they had a hammerhead from a shark on them. And then one of the creatures, my favorite in the movie, which, you know, if you haven't seen it, I'm not trying to spoil it, but it's just, it's pretty awesome. It's like a man mixed with like an airplane. So it has a propeller for a head and like an engine. It has like a V8 engine in the back, and it's walking around the room, and essentially the way to kill people is just cut them up with a prop.
So like if the idea of a man mixed with an airplane prop is something that sounds up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have a guy that's like on stilts with the drill mouth.
And I would have to say, like, the creatures in this movie, so if you are a fan of the Guillermo del Toro movies, so things like Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy 2, like the first Hellboy, with like the Nazi era clothing and some of the stylistic things from that movie kind of reminded me of this, and the creatures are kind of in that Del Toro wheelhouse.
Definitely the first one they encounter, because that is definitely reminds me like heavily like Pan's Labyrinth,
and like all the characters that Doug Jones portrayed in the Guillermo del Toro movies, and
that's what I thought of immediately on the first one. Just the movements and just the character design, which that was probably the more disturbing one, just because given the area you knew who it was. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away from the movie, because I think that it's definitely worth, I guess as far as Netflix goes, I think it's one of the better ones on.
So there. I think that we, like kind of to break down like the overall assessment of it. So the acting and the story are pretty thin. They're pretty weak. But it's a relatively short movie, so the story and the acting, sets things up. And it's a lot of people just reacting to situations.
Yeah, this is more of like a reactive than anything.
So there's, the story isn't some overbearing message riddled thing. It's just the bare bones structure required to set up the action that happens in these different set pieces. So he's saying like the action and the character designs are all great. That's the reason you would watch this. The found footage aspect takes away from it a little bit.
But it doesn't detract it. It's more of a nuisance than anything, because but outside of that, like once you get into the movie, for the only scenes I think it works well though, for like the first person perspective, is
some of the attacks
and when you first go into Frankenstein's like lair.
Yeah.
Because you gotta think like if you're in that situation, you just see some crazy stuff when he goes in there, So I think it worked well for that. Some of the other stuff, I don't think it worked as well for. But like the last half of the movie, I think it worked all right.
So I think that like if I had to rate this movie, I'd say it's like a guilty pleasure. It's something you watch for the effects. Now, if you have friends that are cinema snobs and you show them this, they're probably not going to be into it. But if you want to see like crazy creature effects and you want to see some practical effects brought into a movie, like there's a lot worse on Netflix you could do than watch this. And I'm definitely I'm definitely interested to see what the creative team behind this does in the future, because I'd love to see them take kind of the creature designs and that aesthetic they had for this movie and apply it to something that has a little bit bigger budget and a little bit more well-known actors.
The only thing that always scares me about that though is sometimes
do they lose what made them?
Yeah, do you lose what made this so great? And if I had to rate this, like I know we don't always fall in our ratings, but I'm going to go on the really high end, because for all the shortcomings that it has, just the visuals of the movie bring it up to a level. Because like I said, I've watched a lot of stuff, and even the movies we watched this year, everybody raves about It Follows, but some of the stuff wasn't practical, and I love this so much. Like, I'd have to go really high, like give it like a 4 out of 5.
I don't think you can say this is anywhere close to it being as good as It Follows.
I actually enjoyed it more, but it's more of a movie that, like I said, I think it's more fun. I think if you're looking for a movie, I think that would get universally accepted and more people be like, they enjoyed it, this would go over way better, I think, because it is what it is. It's just monsters it's like a creature feature.
Yeah, but I think so something like It Follows, you can kind of recommend to just people who like movies.
Because it's kind of a creature feature in a way.
But it has performances and like meaning and like and subplots and it's something that's like a general movie.
Yeah,
but if I tell you straight up front, there are Nazi monsters,
I'm more interested.
And
than you tell me there's this invisible
if you're in for that, then you'll probably enjoy this at least the creature effects. Nobody can really say that they're bad. Then but if you don't want to watch a movie about that, then nothing here is going to change your mind once you're watching it.
I just think highly, 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 highly recommend it. It was something I kind of found an accident on Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, like when you hear Frankenstein's Army, you kind of like, what would this be possibly? But
because I remember going in, I thought it was gonna be kind of stupid, and then once I started watching it, like like I said, there's a lot of shortcomings, but just the visuals and everything just more.
So to wrap it up, Derek really liked it. I think the special effects are worth watching it for, as long as you're okay with the premise. But it's a fun movie. It's on Netflix, or you can go buy it, help them out. As always, thanks for watching.